There are several observations we can make about artificial intelligence that appear beyond reasonable dispute. It's here, it's not going away, the impact is already visible, albeit in the most partial and incipient manner, and the public debate over it, about its benefits, its dangers, whether it needs reforms and safeguards, has been woefully inadequate, given its significance in our lives and the breadth and imminence of its impact. Recognition of artificial intelligence, or AI as we'll all be calling it shortly, skyrocketed just recently when a tiny San Francisco-based company called OpenAI last month launched its AI-run model of a chatbot. Interest was and is massive in this new platform. As the New York Times reported last Friday, quote, in the months since its debut, ChatGPT, the name was mercifully shortened, has become a global phenomenon. Millions of people have used it to write poetry, build apps, and conduct makeshift therapy sessions. It has been embraced with mixed results by news publishers, marketing firms, and business leaders, and it has set off a feeding frenzy of investors trying to get in on the next wave of the AI boom. 2 months after its debut, ChatGPT has more than 30 million users and gets roughly 5 million visits a day. Two people with knowledge of the figure said. That makes it one of the fastest growing software products in memory. Instagram, by contrast, took nearly a year to get to its first 10 million users. Now, the reason for intense interest in this product is not really that hard to understand. We have heard for years as Silicon Valley's theorists have debated artificial intelligence, issued warnings of its potentially grave dangers, celebrated the potential for unimaginable benefits for humanity, and introduced us to new phrases such as the singularity, meaning the moment at which AI becomes smarter than human intelligence and achieves its own sentience, meaning it can operate without human direction or control, and the Turing test, the point at which humans can no longer distinguish between thoughts and conversations created by the human mind and an artificial one. Now, there is virtually no limit on the stridency of the warnings issued by many of the most prestigious voices in technology about the danger posed by AI. Quote, the development of full artificial intelligence could spell the end of the human race, warned Stephen Hawking in 2014. Warnings don't get much more strident than that. It could become, warned Elon Musk in 2018, quote, an immortal dictator from which we would never escape. So this new chatbot named ChatGPT is the first time that a large segment of the public has been able to use AI in the wild. And that in turn is allowing people to form their own impressions of it through their personal use, which produces far more engaged and visceral reactions than merely thinking about these topics as abstractions. Just 2 weeks ago, before the launch of ChatGPT, Facebook tried to launch its own AI-driven chatbot that it called Galactica. Yet factual errors and other questionable assertions embedded in the software were quickly discovered. But because Facebook is so large and has already been troubled by allegations of spreading disinformation, it cannot afford to have its own chatbot fuel those attacks on the company, whereas OpenAI, as an infinitely smaller company few had heard of, has much more space and license to introduce an imperfect product. So almost overnight, it has become a global sensation. I was unsurprised to see that one of Brazil's largest newspapers, O Globo, this week conducted what it characterized as a, quote, interview with ChatGPT about itself. The paper used the same format it employs for interviews with political figures and cultural celebrities, publishing a lightly edited version of the conversation with questions from the journalist and the interviewee's answers. It really read like almost any other interview you would ever read, except the speech was far more fluent. There are no stutters or likes or you knows. That would be easily capable of those if you asked it to do that. And it was remarkably easy and thus a bit creepy to forget, as one read it, that there was no human being providing those answers. And what is particularly notable about ChatGPT is that while many people have been stunned by what appears to be its sophistication and ability to engage in complex dialogue, employees of OpenAI were concerned when they were told in November that the company would quickly launch this model because the technology that it is using, the one that we're seeing, is actually relatively antiquated. Some of the engineers of OpenAI thought the public would view the product as primitive and crude and that they would be embarrassed by it. That's because the version that we have, the one that we're using now, is based on AI technology that existed as of 2020. So in terms of the progression of AI research, 3 years is a really long time. The capabilities of artificial intelligence already vastly exceed what we're seeing with this chatbot that has captivated so much of the world. And needless to say, those capabilities are only going to grow very rapidly, perhaps exponentially, over the next several years and certainly over the next several decades. One reason why this product has made such a strong impact is that up until now, AI research has been carried out by a tiny handful of companies with virtually no transparency. Over the last decade, just a few Silicon Valley giants, Google, Facebook, and Amazon, have been buying up all the AI brainpower and putting it to work in secret on their AI products. If any breakthrough happens at a university, it is only a matter of time before one of those companies there descends like vultures to make those researchers offers they can't refuse. As a result, a very large percentage of the world's AI brainpower is now concentrated in a small number of companies. The companies very familiar to us that many people, I believe most people, are now recognizing are far too powerful to coexist with a healthy democracy. But until now, few even knew what this technology was, let alone how it could operate, which made things like regulatory reform or congressional constraints or even just basic journalistic and political transparency all but impossible. And even with the explosion of public interest in AI ushered in by ChatGPT, it is far from certain that any of that will change, as we have seen repeatedly from efforts around the world to rein in some of the most abusive and unlimited powers of big tech. Their massive war chest makes it very easy for them to buy off politicians and whole countries and very difficult to impose meaningful reforms. Now, in just a few minutes, we're going to show you the interview we conducted an hour or so ago with Republican Congressman Ken Buck of Colorado, who has become one of the foremost experts in big tech, as well as censorship and the use of antitrust laws to rein it in, all as a result of him serving as the ranking member of the House Antitrust Committee. There are real antitrust concerns, obviously, with big tech's ability to control the flow of information, set the limits of political debates, and use its monopoly to prevent marketplace competition. But there are also serious antitrust concerns with AI as well. A chatbot like ChatGPT requires enormous computational. Thanks for watching this clip from System Update. Catch our full shows for free, live weekdays at 7 p.m. Eastern on Rumble, and join our locals community at greenwald.locals.com for all of my written journalism, exclusive after-show Q&As, and more.